Is it EROJO? And this is in Washington State, and you're on with Jen and Tracie, and you want to know how we can explain why human beings understand each other?
Hey, this is Brojo, B-R-O-J.
Oh, they put an E.
Yeah.
Okay, Brojo. Okay.
Yeah, I was just curious. I was listening to the last call, and it even intrigued me, as you guys are both atheists. I always wonder when people make statements like, for example, religion presents itself as life being eternal. I'm aware that the Bible teaches that life is finite. It says that it is appointed unto man once to die, after this the judgment. So the Bible actually, I'm not sure, presents that perspective, but I'm not sure if that's what you guys meant by that. Also,
I don't think we meant anything that's in the Bible, because we wouldn't be accepting of that. So, I mean, unless the Bible was simply expressing something that would be just like a basic observable fact about life and death.
Well, certainly you would have to represent the religion accurately. I think that's always good.
Well, but the problem is that Christians disagree on what the religion should be represented as. So I can't represent. You're saying represent it as you understand it, I think, is what you're saying.
Well, sure. I guess if I'm not aware of any sects of Christianity that would hold that life does not come to an end. But sure, I guess
you should get out more.
Many of them do, but it's okay.
But I think it's interesting when atheism posits that life is totally irrational, that there really is no purpose or meaning to.
Atheism posits
you
that?
Probably should not get on a show and then say that your views need to be represented accurately when there's a lot of people on your team that represent them differently, and then tell us what our beliefs are. Just FYI.
Well, atheism doesn't have many different sects. Atheism says that there's an impersonal absolute by which the universe is governed.
No, atheism doesn't say anything. Atheism just simply says they don't accept that a God exists. That's it.
Well, atheism, actually, the definition that has been typically accepted has been that the nature of reality is that there was no God, and so nature or reality.
You're using a definition of atheism that no major atheist organization in the world uses.
Well, I think if you look at the Stanford Dictionary of Philosophy, that's how atheism is used. But however, I just think it's interesting. Even if that's not your definition of atheism, you guys are positing that the universe came into being from nothing. Or
no, I'm not positing how the universe came into being. I don't do that. There are people in science that handle that. I don't do it. I don't talk about universal origins as far as like I don't have my own personal theory on that.
So without a theory on that, how could you say to someone, make the most out of life? That assumes that there's ultimate purpose.
Because you have a finite life, and you either can not make the most of it or make the most of it, and I find that my life is more fulfilling when I make the most of it, and I suggest it to others, although they may have a different view of it, and they are certainly not required to follow my advice.
Well, when you make the statement, my life is more fulfilling, all you're simply saying is I feel more satisfied in this state. You're not saying anything that it's a better lifestyle. So
it is. Wait a minute. You're saying that I am if I'm saying that more fulfilled is better. If I accept that better equals more fulfilled, then I am saying it's better.
Yeah, better for you,
right?
Per se, but you can't say, okay, this is. You can't make an objective statement. You certainly can't say this is the better lifestyle. You could just.
I don't think I did.
But here's the funny thing about this: because you reject the Christian God and do not want to worship Him and serve Him as how you were made to do.
All right, we're getting super close to a hang-up here. Okay, you're going to have to stop interjecting that. You're going to have to stop just fiat claims that your religion is accurate and throwing out this bait. We can either have an honest discussion or you can call with an agenda and be an asshat. It's up to you. But if you continue with this sort of chip on your shoulder, this call is not going to go anywhere. So get the chip off your shoulder and let's have an honest conversation. Quit saying that your religion is true when you're talking on the phone to some atheists, and quit telling us what we believe. If you want to talk to us about what we believe and ask us what we believe, and if you want to have an honest conversation instead of preaching and simply, prescribing what you think we believe, then we can. But you're going to have to get the chip off your shoulder.
Sure. Would you say atheism is true?
I don't even know what that means.
Atheism doesn't make any truth claims. It's just a rejection of the claim some gods exist.
Right.
But certainly you believe that proposition is true, or you wouldn't hold it.
It's not a proposition. It's a position on my perspective on a claim.
Right. And your perspective on the claim that God exists is that I don't buy it.
Right. I am not convinced. Correct. And that is a fact. I am not convinced that a God exists. That's not disputable.
But as a theist, I believe he does exist.
I get that.
Yes, we understand.
But you don't get to tell us that it's true and then just keep talking like you didn't just say that.
Well, no, I can justify that position.
Go for it.
Yeah. Well, first off, atheism is self-refuting. There's only atheism and theism.
Quit telling us about what atheism. You're not an atheist, and you're telling us about atheism. Just talk about your claims and tell us why your claims are true. It doesn't matter if what atheists believe. What do you believe? And demonstrate to us why that is correct.
Well, I think it's a little bit more complicated than a flattened view of reality. I think evidence ultimately must have a perspective that drives it to an ultimate conclusion. Evidence is not, as much as people like to suggest, there are no brute facts, right? Evidence is not audible and propositional in the sense that it speaks for itself, right? We are people who have to come to conclusions when we view reality. The whole of creation, right, testifies that God exists. 100%. God has made us in his image to know him. And
you're going to have to support these claims, right? You're going to have to support it. You're just preaching at this point.
Well, atheists are looking for physical, tangible evidence. If you look to the Bible, that is physical evidence for the existence of God.
No, it's not. It's a story.
No, it's God's revealed word.
If that's your claim, I'm telling you that's what you need to support. If there is no God, then it's not God's revealed word. So first we need to establish that God exists before you can start telling me what God does, right? We need to know that there is a God or God's not doing anything. So how do we establish that there is a God and that then we can establish what it does?
Well, we just have to get into a discussion of our worldviews, but we certainly don't have enough.
This has nothing to do with worldviews other than you have some claims that you're making, and we're just asking you to support them. And it doesn't have to do with whether or not you find atheism tenable. It's like when somebody calls the show and they want to talk about creationism, they keep talking about evolution. Evolution is wrong. Evolution is just like, so what? We're asking you what you believe as a creationist and how you support that, not whether or not you accept evolution. That's not relevant. And this is the same type of thing. I'm not asking you to criticize atheism. I'm saying, what do you believe and can you support it? And you're making claims. It's like, we understand you think a God exists. We understand you think that God does stuff. I don't need a list of bullet points of what you think that God is responsible for. I need to know, is there a God? Because if there's not, then that God is not responsible for anything you believe it's responsible for. So the question now is, can we establish that God exists? Then we can start looking at what we think it's responsible for.
Well, actually, the statement that we need evidence presented to us or God is not responsible for all of creation, that's an irrational.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. I said we need evidence presented to us in order for us to find your claims reasonable to believe.
Because you are a naturalist, you are not going...
Did we say we were naturalists?
What is all of reality? Is it all physical and material?
No, I'm asking you. Did we say that? Because you just said, well, because you're naturalist, and I don't think that was even part of the conversation up to now.
I listened to the discussions prior, and you guys believe that there's nothing beyond the existence that we will have now, and you believe that life is finite, you believe that all that exists is the physical material universe. So I'm just taking from what I've heard from previous discussions, and I'm letting you guys, and explaining to you guys the problem with that position. I don't see a problem.
Which has exactly what to do with your claim that your God exists?
Because it shows that there's only two options, and once we have
no. I don't care about the two options. I only care about the option you're presenting to us, which is your claim that some God exists.
Well, as I said before, because we're people and we tend to see things differently, things need to be interpreted through a particular lens.
No, they don't. What they need to be interpreted through is that you made a claim, and you need to present evidence that backs that claim up, and then we can proceed from there. You don't need to critique anybody else's worldview or talk about anybody else's position or whatever you think that is. You just need to back up your claim. Can you do that?
I think that's an incorrect way to view things. I think obviously as an atheist, if you are making claims, even if you make evolutionary claims, you can't back that up to a Christian without.
As an atheist, I don't make claims. I think that's the problem. Personally, Tracie may make claims, but as an atheist, I'm not making those claims. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think the issue is that we're having a. So atheism is typically defined in terms of theism. Theism, in turn, is best understood as a proposition that something is either true or false. It is the belief that God exists. It does not refer to the psychological state of believing. This is why it makes sense.
If you think it's true that a God exists, then you believe the claim, which is how we.
Theism is.
Yes, that is theism.
But atheism is the negation, which says God does not exist.
No, that's not what it is.
No, atheism is just simply says I'm not a theist.
Yeah, it's atheist, meaning not theism.
Right. I don't believe a God exists. It doesn't mean that I believe no God exists.
Very opposite of theism.
No, it's not the opposite. It's anything that isn't theism.
Yeah, this is I run a Discord server on Discord where we debate atheists and debate non-Christians. This is going to take a little bit longer to explain all these key concepts and terms because this is not easy to get, and I understand.
All right, well then I'm gonna have to refer you to the blog where we actually have an endless space. So you can go to the blog and you can post on this show's specific thread, and I have that blog address, I think, in my notes. I already had it on my notes. But I think it's, Free Thought /AXP.
Yeah, I think so.
Free Thought blogs /AXP. And there you can go and post your thoughts on this, because what you're basically describing is that it's going to take a very long time, and this show is only an hour and a half, and we have other callers. If it can't be done in language that is already developed and understood and in conversations that have already been had, and if the support for the claims is that complex, I'm amazed that anybody has come to theism if it takes this huge, complicated thing to understand a God. So go ahead and go to the blog and put your 2 cents there and give your best argument or evidence, and people can see it, and then it'll also be as public as it is here. So thanks for your call, Brojo.
He's not very good at debating.
Well, you get up. The thing is, it's like, I mean, we are an hour and a half show. And this is a reality. We have a finite time set, and we've got several calls waiting. And I do prefer to take a theist call, which is why I went with Misty, because she helped us with call check initially, which is kind of my trend. And then we had this theist caller who called in later, and I wanted to, put that up at first. Mm-hmm. And when you start to come at it with an agenda, when you start telling me what I believe, when you've got this thing to prove, when you got something to prove, not like something to like a claim that you'd like to support, but you got something you're calling to prove, right? And you're not hearing otherwise, and you can't have a conversation because you're here to preach. If that's where your head is at, you're going to have to cool your jets and be able to be a human being and have a conversation, and let's be honest, and let's walk through what you think, what you don't think. If you want to know what I think about something, you can ask me. If you say that you think I think something and I correct you, then you don't tell me that I'm wrong because Stanford says that's not what you believe. I know what I believe more than a Stanford dictionary knows what I believe, right? I can tell you what I think better than they can. And I also live it. I'm part of the Atheist Community, and I understand how atheists use these terms. And that's all I can say about it. If you have something that's huge and complex and it's going to take an hour to go through it, number one, like I said, I don't know how any theist came to theism if it takes this like massive understanding of highly complex stuff that takes a really long time to sort of just get the terms in order? How did anybody come to belief in God? Because that's not real obvious from a guy that just said, hey, it's manifest in the universe, right? So it's either easy and manifest or it's really hard and complicated. It's not both. So anyway.
And this dude's running a Discord server where he debates this all the time.
Yeah, I can only imagine the pain.
I don't know how long he's been running the Discord server, but how long you been doing this?
Well, I mean, we've had two really good ones at the blog, right? One that took like 111, and then one that just went over 300 at a blow up, and now this thing is probably going to be the next blow up. I think Brojo is going to be our next break 100.
How long have you been on the show?
Since 2006.
Okay, and I've been on since 2008, so we've been doing this a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah.